Tesham Tathagato Yavata Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vate Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Yedarama Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Dathagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vade Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation causes as well as taught by the great seer. Okay, those online, can you hear me well? Those can you hear me well? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so this morning, what we were talking about, continuing from where we left this morning, we're talking about we all have the treasure, hidden treasure within us, treasure for total fearlessness and infinite happiness. And fearlessness, technically referred to as nirvana. Nirvana is a word, just to connote that there's a possibility for us to experience fearlessness with no fear or anxiety, stress, liberated from these altogether. And then the other thing that we're experiencing, that we're seeking, is infinite happiness. Infinite happiness is technically known as Buddhahood. Buddha doesn't mean Buddhism. Don't forget this. Buddha is it's a Sanskrit word which means awakening, where you awaken fully. You are awakened fully, that you are least affected by your contents of the dream. When you come out of the dream completely, that is, you are awakened. When you're awakened, the dreams will cease to affect you. So that is the liberation. So we be awakened from the samsaric dream, not just the conventional dream, but the unconventional dream. There are two kinds of dream. One is conventional dream and the other is unconventional dream. From the conventional dream, we have been waking up every day. But from the unconventional dream, we have never woken up. And if there's somebody, maybe there's one or two who are awakened from the unconventional dream. If there's somebody who's awakened, you will not come to this teaching. If you do come, you came here to check on me. This is the reality. Okay, so if not to check on me, then which means you're not awakened. So like me, we're all same. We're all in same boat. So our job is to be awakened from this, so that the real treasure inside will manifest. Okay, so how to let this treasure manifest? What we learn is that we have to apply the remedies. What remedies apply is determined by the nature of the defilements. This is what is said. And nature of the defilements, we said gross and subtle. Gross one is known as, hey, online people listening to the offline people, to see how smart the offline people are. So the gross one known as afflictive obscurations, and subtle one known as cognitive obscurations. Very good. And the gross one is constituted of three. What are they? Contaminant karmas, afflictions, and the active seeds. Okay. So these three, they're somehow connected with ignorance. They're connected with ignorance. In other words, for example, like all the things that we see, the flower, the very tender flower, and the very strong pillars, and the beautiful hall, and the beautiful Buddha Tanga. So these, and your body, the food that we eat, these are all nothing, although they appear different, but in reality, they're all made of atoms. Atoms, and further, we see they're made of electrons, protons, neutrons. On that level, no difference. Likewise, that all these, what we see as contaminant karmas, afflictions, active seeds, and so forth, They're all somehow the manifestation of the ignorance. And then the subtle smell. Even the subtle smell of the garlic is related to the garlic. Likewise, the subtle smell, corn box is also related to ignorance, but the subtle smell of the ignorance. So our job is, now that we know the nature of the defilements, which are all related to ignorance, not ignorance, but related to ignorance. Therefore, the remedy lies in the, okay, don't forget it, that ignorance is like darkness. In dark, we don't see the reality around us. So how to remove the darkness? By, let's say, for example, let's say this is very important for us. And I'm repeatedly saying this so that I get the imprint so much in my mind that next life, I'm born as a little boy, whatever, there will say that, oh, ignorance, you can remove it by introducing the light, right? So that I don't learn it, right? Okay, if you want to look for my reincarnation or what, my next life, just if there's a boy or girl who can say that ignorance is moved by the wisdom or the darkness is moved by the ignorance, by the light. If you identify a girl or a boy who says this is Dorji Damdul. Okay, so therefore I'm trying my best in this life to leave as much imprint as possible. So with this in mind, this is so important. Say, for example, you want to read a book. You want to read this book, very precious book, that precious text by the author, Lama Tsongkhapa, and suddenly there's a power cut in the midnight, middle of the night. The power cut is totally dark. So, what we do, Buddha, please remove the darkness. If you say this, if the Buddha is sitting next to you, Buddha will be very upset. What a stupid follower. Whereas if you light a candle, Buddha will be extremely happy. One smart follower. You're getting it? So therefore, the point is that we should be smart. We should be smart. So to remove the ignorance, to remove the darkness is only done through introducing the light. Likewise, to remove the, okay, Prerna, can you help me one thing? For the view, I put it gallery and it automatically changes to speaker. What do we do? Something we can do to make it stable. Okay, it doesn't matter.
It should be this only.
Okay, it changes. It doesn't matter. Now, do you know that? How to do that? Automatic changes to the speaker. Yes.
Yes, Geshe Dinam. So, Geshe, you can keep your.
Okay.
I think that's for other folks.
No, actually, I have highlight,
Okay.
I have
Okay.
spotlight.
Wait,
That's why it's
let's do
appearing.
this.
So from
Okay,
Geshe
no
side,
worries.
you can put the gallery. The
Perhaps
gallery
it's
nang na.
like, let's see.
Okay,
Okay, it's fine.
let's do hide.
Are Geshe kya
And-
to ne gallery share la.
Ale.
Geshe la tanda de Geshe kya to ne the gallery share re Geshe la tanda de long jungswe Geshe la. Ale di kain sinang nganzu ngegi dine spotlight share wa Geshe la.
Yeah. Disha.
Ye remove chip.
Got it.
Ta yung na Geshe la.
Then, Manda. Manda, can office dwell in my can't
This is la.
Okay. So what we are saying is that the darkness can be eradicated only by introducing light. Likewise, the darkness of ignorance can be eradicated only by introducing the light of the wisdom. How many of you agree with me in this sense? This is the only way. This is the only way. Don't expect the Buddha blessing us and then you are, you become enlightened. Don't expect that. Don't expect that. For example, the one example that I share with people is that the saying, this is very important. Partly it is a joke, partly is not partly, fully it is I mean it. One day I received a call, early morning, I received a call from a girl. And the girl said that, Gisela, I'm going to give up Buddhism. Early morning, 6 o'clock. I'm going to give up Buddhism. I said, it's fine. Again saying, no, Gisela, I'm very serious. I'm going to give up Buddhism. I said, it's fine. So from there, I could sense that she wants me to ask her why. So I said, okay. And she said, I'm serious. I said, okay. Then I said, I asked, why? Then she said, because all these last 3 years, I have been praying to Buddha, praying to Buddha, and my prayers never answered. I said, what kind of prayer? She said that my brother needs to get a job. My brother needs to get a job, and all 3 years I prayed, and my brother never got a job. I said, okay, now if this is the reason for you to become a Buddhist, I said that do one thing. If you're hungry, don't become a Buddhist, go to kitchen. Let me repeat it. If you are hungry, don't become a Buddhist. What should you do? Go to the kitchen, eat something. Becoming Buddhist, your hunger will not go away. Eat something, your hunger will go away. And if you're sick, don't become a Buddhist. Go to hospital. We have to apply the practical solutions. And if your brother wants a job, don't become a Buddhist. Tell your brother to study well. Don't go to the nightclubs. Don't go to the pubs. Study well, sit for the competitive exams, and become IAS officer. Get the job. You can become the first secretary or the chief secretary, whatever, of the prime minister. You can become. So therefore, we have to know. Don't expect that by Guru blessing you and then you become enlightened. This is a blind faith. When if you want to become a Nobel laureate in physics, don't say, okay, Om Mani Mani Mam mantra, or recite. No, I will recite not the Buddha mantra. I will recite the Einstein mantra. Om Einstein Hum, Om Einstein Hum. You recite for 50 years. I guarantee you will not become a Nobel laureate in physics. If you really want to become a Nobel laureate in physics, what should you do? Study physics. Instead of wasting time in reciting the Einstein mantra, study physics. Study physics. That is more likelihood. There's a greater likelihood that you're closer to become a Nobel laureate in physics. Then reciting mantra, you will never learn anything. Okay, so with this in mind, how to get rid of all these mental defilements associated with the ignorance? Introduce the counterforce, which is none other than the wisdom. The next question, what is the wisdom? The wisdom to see the mutuality of dependency, interdependency, dependent origination. So the text we are studying in praise of dependent origination, in praise of the teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, for him having taught dependent origination to open the eyes of the wisdom of emptiness, the wisdom of dependent origination, so that your treasure inside will be manifested fully. That is the only way by which to do that. With this in mind, we turn to where we left yesterday. Verse number 6. 5 done. Okay, now we are on verse number 6. Okay, for the online participants, you have the screen sharing. For the offline participants, is there anybody who did not get this booklet? Is there anybody who did not get this booklet? Raise your hands. Okay, if there's somebody, just see if you can get it. Okay, now let's turn verse number 6. By grasping at it, your chant is strength and bondage to extreme views. For the wise, this very fact is the doorway to cut free from the net of aberrations. By grasping at it, it refers to dependent origination. It refers to dependent origination. By grasping at dependent origination, the childish, meaning immature people, will strengthen bondage to extreme views. Okay. Okay, raise your hands those who did not get this book. Okay. Okay, this is very important. Say somebody talks about dependent origination. Somebody talks about emptiness. What we learned yesterday was that dependent origination and emptiness, these two are the two sides of the same coin. We said emptiness equals dependent origination, and dependent origination equals the middle way, Therefore, emptiness equals the middle way. Okay, Dedela, did you get this book? Yes, good. Okay, so and we said that in order to study emptiness and in order to study dependent origination, we need to get over the two. We need to get through the two gates. If you don't get through the two gates, there's always the danger that you'll either fall into the one of the two extremes. Now, what are the two extremes? Extreme of absolutism and extreme of nihilism. So there's always this danger. So now look, verse 16 is saying that not passing through these two gates, this is a problem. You study emptiness, this is a problem. By grasping at dependent origination, the childish, meaning those who do not get through the two gates, the childish strengthen bondage to extreme views. You're getting it? If you don't get through the two gates, then you fall into one of the extremes. Extreme views, either extreme, as Neha said, extreme of absolutism and extreme of nihilism. For the wise, whereas dependent origination, understanding of dependent origination, for the wise people, the very fact, meaning this very fact of dependent origination is the doorway to cut free from the net of elaborations, meaning to cut free from the net of extremes, two extremes. Okay. Number 7, since this teaching is not seen elsewhere, and this teaching on emptiness, that everything is like a dream. What we did, in fact, yesterday we covered a lot of materials within a short span of time. So we also said, I said that whatever we studied yesterday, today it'll make things very easy for us today. Same, what we said is that to know the dream as dream happens in the dream or waking state. To know the dream as dream happens in the waking state or dream state. In the waking state, for some of us, once in a while in the dream, you know that I'm dreaming. What is happening is dream. But overall speaking, 99% we see dream as real. But only when you wake up, you see that dream as not real, it's dream. It's subjective or objective? When you wake up, you see this as subjective. When you're in the dream, you see dream as objective. Very good. Okay. Someday, this is how you learn, and the people in the next university will study for 10, 20, 30 years. They'll be amazed. And one day you just learn all these things. Subjective, objective is amazing. Okay. So this teaching that everything is subjective, it is not that easy. Because it is not easy on the planet Earth. This teaching came only 2,500 years ago, not before that, on the planet Earth. Since Big Bang, 15 billion years ago. And for like the last 14.99 billion years, this teaching was totally missing. And then the 2,500 years ago, Prince Siddhartha came. And what he did, what did he do? He left the palace. For what? Out of compassion. How compassion? It should not be seen as metaphorical, or it should not be seen as a drama. Out of compassion. Compassion for what? That being in the palace, he noticed injustices in the palace. Because this happens everywhere, not only in his palace, but everywhere in the world. Injustices were there. Even in the family, there are injustices. Even a tiny family, the parents' affinity to, this child more over that child and so forth. These problems are there. They're in a palace. They are the helpers. They're the domestic helpers to help the royal family members. And then injustice happening. It's not just 2 person or 3 helpers. There are hundreds of people there. And then injustice is bound to be here. And naughty, the male and the royal family members are also there, naughty ones. So therefore, Prince Siddhartha could not tolerate all these injustices. And alongside, he would also see the wars happening among the kingdoms, where so many people are getting killed. And he thought that I have to look for a solution to all these problems. And if I do what I'm doing now, lead my life the way I'm doing, way I should be doing, that is to become the next king, then how can I help the beings? Look at my father, he's already king, but he could not solve the problems of the world. So to become a king, this is not a solution. I have to look for a solution. Where? So look at my father, he could not even help himself, forget about helping the world. Even his own family, there's injustices there. So much a problem there. So I have to look for some alternative way by which that I can have all the beings. So he left the palace, motivated by compassion. Then he searched for the solution. Solution, he sought the help of the first teacher, Acharya Allah Kalam. He reached the same level of the realization as the first teacher, and he asked for more teachings. And the first teacher said, "Now you got everything. There's nothing more. All my students are your students. Guide them." And the Prince Siddhartha said, "No, I came here not just for my personal liberation, but for the liberation of all the beings. And still I don't have that power to do that." So he sought the help of a second teacher, Acharya Udrega, a second teacher. And second teacher, the online participants, they may be amazed that the Mumbaikars, Geshe students, they have all the answers on their fingertips. Okay. So okay, so with this, with the second teacher, again, Prince Siddhartha reached the same level as the second teacher very quickly and asked for more teaching. Second teacher said, in fact, the second teacher has already reached the highest level of the realization according to the mundane level. He reached the highest level. He said, "No, there's nothing beyond this. You have attained everything. Again, all my students are your students. Guide them." And the Prince Siddhartha left. He said that, "No, this is still, I do not get the full answer to the problems of the world." Then finally, he said, for 6 years of austere practice of austerity, and finally he found the wisdom of emptiness. Wisdom of emptiness. He found this. So this is what, and then after finding this, having become enlightened, he did not give the teachings. He remained silent for 49 days. He remained silent for 49 days. Indra, Brahma, they were confused. Kings of the god and goddesses, they were confused. What happened on the planet Earth? Prince Siddhartha already become Buddha, ready to now teach the beings, but not giving teachings for 9 days, remain silent. Why? So they descended on the planet Earth, made prostrations to the Buddha in Bodh Gaya. How many been Bodh Gaya? Raise hands. Oh, many. Okay. So in Bodh Gaya, the Buddha became enlightened. And so two of them, the kings of the god and goddesses, Indra and Brahma, they descended, made prostration to Buddha, and requested Buddha, "Please don't remain silent. Please turn the will of that dharma. Please give teachings. Teach the wisdom to all the beings, to free them from the miseries, the pains, the painful tears. Give the teachings." And the Buddha said in Tibetan, in English, profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-light, and non-compensate. Such a nectar-led dharma is what I've discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I will retire into the woods. So Brahma and Indra, Brahma offered on the wheel symbolic of the Buddha to please turn the wheel of the wisdom, wheel of the dharma. And Indra offered the conch, requesting the Buddha, please blow the conch to reverberate the whole universe with your teaching of the wisdom, to dispel the darkness of ignorance, to stop all the tears of the samsara. So with this, then the Buddha headed towards Varanasi and started to give the teachings. Okay, so on this teaching, he remained silent Starting for 49 days. So it says, number 7, since this teaching is not seen elsewhere, this teaching was not seen before Prince Siddhartha became the Buddha. So therefore, you alone are the teacher of dependent origination. Like calling a fox a lion for Tirthika, meaning those teachers who were contemporary with the Buddha, it is like people revering them as a teacher, but it's like calling a fox a lion. It would be a word of flattery. Number 8, wondrous teacher was the Buddha. You are teaching something which I like to learn. What? What do we learn to learn? We like to learn how to liberate us from our painful tears, how to expand our happiness to infinite. This is what I like to learn, and you are the one who's teaching that. Wondrous teacher, wondrous refuge. I seek help, and you, by giving this teaching, I get the maximum help to stop all the tears, help to expand my happiness. Wondrous speaker, and how you teach, there's no contradiction there. It's so seamlessly flowing in accordance with my propensities. Wondrous savior, you are the one who saved us. You protected us. You give the whole the peace. I pay homage to the teacher who taught well what? Taught dependent origination. The other side is emptiness. Dependent origination, other side of which is emptiness. Number 9, to help heal sentient beings. O benefactor, you have taught the peerless reason to ascertain emptiness, the heart of the teaching. Okay, let's see. Now this is a little technical. I'm going to explain this and later. And if you're really interested in this, then in any ways tomorrow I'm leaving. Right? So if you're really interested in this, I will just throw the bomb, and then your job is to take this to Geshe, and Geshe's job is to really make you learn it thoroughly. You have to learn from Geshe. Okay, so all the students here, make sure that I just trigger, and your job is to bother Geshe. Okay, so the thing is that okay, so the technical aspect is that what the Buddha taught is that just as what should you do? Say, I give you 3 options. Say, 1, you are in a dream. You are sleeping in a dream. In the dream, the Geshe tells you that, okay, all the students, we're going to have audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama after this teaching. Happy, not happy? Very happy. Okay, so, and then we will have audience with His Holiness, and then in the dream, His Holiness tells Geshe, why not your students and we'll have tea together? Happy? Hey, even more happy, right? To have the privilege of having the tea with His Holiness. So this is a very pleasant dream, number 1. Number 2, coming back, there's a whole flood in Mumbai, right? Don't think that I have a bad tongue, right? Okay, it's just a dream. Whole flood, and the flood just sucked you and you are pulled into the ocean. Yes, sometimes the flood does like this, tight, but it gets into land, and then when it goes back, and then you are sucked into the ocean, right? And you think that I'm dead. And when you say that I'm dead, your mother wakes you up. First is what? Amazing moment with His Holiness, and then getting blessings from His Holiness. Number 2, that you are sucked into the ocean. You think that you are dead. Number 3, your mother wakes you up. Tell me, which of the 3 do you want? Only one. Choose one, not 2. Huh? First one. Okay. How many you say 2? Nobody wants 2. 3? Okay, yes. Many of you said 3. Okay. Now, tell me, this is a very serious question, online, offline, both. Very serious question. The first dream, part of the dream is extremely beautiful. Do you love it? Second part of the dream, extremely undesirable. You don't love it. You don't like it. But these two dreams, there are many things in common. Tell me some of the commonalities between these two dreams. There are many things in common. Differences are there. One triggers extremely pleasant feeling, other triggers extremely unpleasant feeling. But there are many commonalities also there. Tell me some of the commonalities. Quick. Okay, over there, Aditya. Okay, one thing is that both are not real. This is commonality. Very good. Anything else? Online? Anyone? Online. Okay, if not, okay, yes, Daniel.
In both situations, I have no control what's going to happen.
Okay, NMC. Daniel, NMC too. Okay, amazing. Okay. So I know that those who are from non-NMC, wow, they have all the answers and they're related to NMC, right? So you're a little envious. Okay, good. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Okay, in both cases, there's no freedom to choose the dream. Okay, how many of you love the first dream? Does that sense? Okay, my question to you is, how many of you like to have the first dream tonight? How many of you like to have the first dream tonight? Does that sense? Very good, almost all of us. And how many of you will have this dream tonight? How many of you will have the dream tonight? This dream. Did you follow my question? What is the question? This dream is not a question. What's the question? How many of you will have this dream tonight? Do you sense? Okay. Why not? It's a very beautiful dream. Hey, why not? Why not?
It's not in our control, right?
Okay, it's not in our control. However pleasant the dream is, we don't have the control. Lack of control, lack of freedom to choose the dream. And if you're watching on television with your brother, little brother, and you want to give the remote control, you want to give the remote control to your brother. You want to keep the remote control in your hand. Why? Why not give it to the brother? Why not?
You want to see what you want to see.
You want to see, I don't want to lose my freedom to the, I want the remote control in my hands. I want to control. I don't want to give the control to my brother. If I give the control to my brother, I will lose control. Loss of control, loss of freedom is misery. Misery is samsara. However pleasant the dream is, one flaw of the dream is that you don't have the freedom to choose which dream. So loss of freedom is there. Loss of freedom is misery. Misery is samsara. You getting it? So therefore, if you really want to get out of this misery, loss of freedom, what should you do? If you want to get away from this loss of freedom in the dream, what should you do? How to get the freedom? Wake up. Wake up. It's for this reason that the Buddha is revered as the fully awakened one. Each one of us, we can also be fully awakened. So it entirely depends on how much you put effort, to trigger the wisdom. To trigger the wisdom, we require three things. One is wisdom is nothing but the information. Wisdom is a mind which gets the correct information. For that, we require three things. One is the correct information. Correct information. Number two, complete information, not just partial, complete information. Number three, systematic information. Number one, correct information. Number two, complete information. Number three, systematic information. We require these three things. For example, say going through your mobile all the time with the reel and so forth. you are not getting the complete, you are not getting the correct information. You are not getting correct information, number one. Number two, you require the complete information. Just say that you have an amazing teacher here, Geshe Dorji Damdul is here in Mumbai, and you don't take advantage of that. You just, just go to 1 day teaching here, 2 day teaching here, 1 day teaching here, 1 week here. You don't say this. So there, you are not getting the complete information. Number two. So therefore, having a teacher in your place, that is incredibly great luxury. It's a luxury. So as I said earlier, yesterday I said it, this morning also I said it, that the first time I landed here to give teachings, the first wish that I had is that if there's a residential here for the people from Mumbai, that was what came to my mind first. And it was fulfilled the moment I met Geshe 2017 or 15. 2019. Oh, right. 2019, when Dr. Nivedaraji invited me to give a talk here, that was the time that I met Geshe and the Geshe the two attendants, Gentashla and Tenzala. So this was the first time that I met. I was so happy. There's one young Geshe here, learned, a practitioner, very, very, very meritorious. So we require correct information, complete information, and how to get complete information is by being close to such a learned teacher. So you have Geshe here, very fortunate, and then systematic. You have to engage in a proper systematic long-term studies, not just 2 day, 1 day, 2 day, 1 day. Instead, along to 2 day, 1 day is good for us to reinforce what you're doing. It's good. It's like an accelerator. But then you require, for example, to give masala, to give a salt to the food. Salt should not be the main food. It will just to give the taste, so that it will reinforce the taste of your food. So these teachings are good. 1 day, 2 days, this is good, but to reinforce. But you have to reinforce something, you should have the main teaching. That is the prolonged, extended period of the studies, very systematic studies required. Okay. So for that matter, what I'm saying is that now, let's say that the emptiness, the Buddha taught that everything is like a dream. Everything is subjective. Okay, when I say that this flower is, they say this flower is lying close to the Neha. And then I run and said, hey, this flower is mine, all right? This flower is mine. What do you think? What am I indicating? That this is not yours. You're getting it? But if I say that this flower is not yours, it's very offensive. Another way of saying this, the same meaning, but very gentle way of saying this, oh, this flower is mine, rather than this flower is not yours. Not yours, very rude. It's mine is way gentle. You agree? Good. So when you say it is mine, it rejects it to be yours. Likewise, when I say the flower is subjective, it means it is not objective. Not and empty mean the same. Not and empty, not is indication of nil. Nil, nihilism, nil or empty. So when you say the flower is not objective means empty of objective reality. If ever somebody asks you, what is emptiness in Buddhism? You say emptiness is a short form of emptiness of independent existence, emptiness of objective existence. Okay, so with this, now, how do I know that the flower is empty of objective reality? How do I know this? Okay, so emptiness, the meaning is what? 5 points. Emptiness means dependent origination, emptiness of independent reality. Or in other words, emptiness equals dependent origination. So to know emptiness, you have to know dependent origination. So this understanding dependent origination should be the means to get to understand emptiness. So it says, number 10, this way of dependent origination. Okay, no. Which Number 9, to help heal sentient beings, O benefactor, you have taught the peerless reason, dependent origination as the reason, peerless reason, very powerful reason, the reason to ascertain, to establish, to gain conviction in emptiness. You're getting it? What reason is used to establish emptiness? Reason of dependent origination. So by understanding dependent origination, it should help us to understand emptiness. By understanding dependent origination, what's the opposite of emptiness? Opposite. Independent reality. So by understanding dependent origination, it should not reinforce your wrong belief in things as independent real, objective real. So it says, this way of dependent origination, O benefactor, you have taught the peerless reason. Which reason? Reason of dependent origination to ascertain what? To ascertain emptiness, the heart of the teaching. This way of dependent origination, number 10, those who perceive it as contradictory or as unestablished. Okay, this is a little technical, I'm going to explain this here. How can they comprehend your system? How can these people who see this, okay, let's do the reason. This is a quick introduction to logic, Buddha's logic, quick introduction. So when we say, when you give a reason, it should have 4 things, 4 components to them, a complete set of reason, 4 components. One is the, okay, first is the subject of the topic. Number 2, predicate. Number 3, sign or reason. And number 4, example or illustration. Okay, what are the 4 components for a reason? Okay, Neha. Subject. Subject or topic, number 1. Predicate, number 2. Sign or reason, number 3. Wow, amazing. Oh, wow. So, are you from Mumbai? If you are from Mumbai, Geshe is very fortunate to have an amazing student, right? Okay, so Mumbai people, they should prove that you have a Geshe here. You know, as your teacher, Geshe is here. So you have to become someone like Neha, right? So thorough. Okay. Okay. So now look, some of you who are not into this, you may get, what is that? You know, she's saying all these things so thoroughly, and what is she talking about? Okay. So to make it very easy, it's like, let's say that, okay, how many you, okay, just pick up something and show that to me. Okay, most of you, either you show the pen or the book or the mobile. Okay, okay, water bottle. So whatever you're showing, look at it yourself. And how does it appear? Does it appear like a dream or opposite dream? Dream is what? Subjective, objective. What's opposite? Objective. Now, how do you see that thing that you are holding as objective or subjective? Objective. So that perception, if you believe that yes, it exists objectively, that is known as the ignorance, self-grasping ignorance. Ignorance, believing in things as objectively real. And that ignorance is the one which binds us in samsara. That ignorance is the one which binds us in samsara, seeing things as objectively real. Okay. Now the Buddha said that to free us from this ignorance, the Buddha taught that everything is subjective, like a dream. Okay. But how do you know that? You can ask the Buddha. How can we know that things are all subjective, things are all like dream, right? And the Buddha should not be saying that, no, these things are like dream. You have to believe in this. If this is approach, this is wrong approach. You're getting it? That the Buddha encouraged us to ask questions. Don't follow blindly. So it was in Cambridge. It was in Cambridge, when I was in Cambridge, 2003. Okay, before Cyrus was born. Before Ilengo was born. Right? Before Milani is born. Okay, 2003. Tenzila before Tenzila was born. Cannot, not yet born. Okay, 2003. I was there in Cambridge for my studies, and I used to meet a lot of physics professors. Not, I meet other professors also, but particularly the meeting with the physics professors because I was interested in physics. And particularly, there was one physics professor who didn't want to meet me because I'm in a religious, dress. He doesn't want to meet me because he said, well, what is it? They're blind faith followers. Look, blind faith followers. This was going in his mind. He didn't want to meet me. Then two of us, we had a common friend. And the common friend, whether he likes it or not, he has to at least they make common friend, his friend happy. So a common friend introduced me to him. So he has to somehow accept me. Otherwise, he's not ready to even talk to me. And finally, we started talking. And then at one point, he made a statement, a very bold statement, where he said that in this world, only physics is education. Right? Okay, is there anybody from education background, according to him? Prarak and Sanjukta? Hey, where's Sanjukta? Yes, two of you from physics background? No? Okay, anyone else? Nobody's from education. Hey, Tushar?
No, I'm not. No, I don't teach physics.
No. Are you from physics background? So nobody from education. Okay, here we have only one. Okay, okay, only one. Okay, so the rest of us, not from education, from his point of view. In this world, what is that? In this world, only physics is education. Then I asked him, why? He said, because only physics allows you to have a critical thinking. All others are imitation of the earlier teachers. Let me repeat it. Only physics is education because it is only physics which allows you to have a critical thinking. All others are imitation of the earlier teachers, which means bluntly. This is what he said. So I said that, okay, listen to what the Buddha has to say. Then I quoted the Buddha. In Tibetan, it is Geron Dagam Kenam Ki Sekje Dawe Session Do. Do you know how to say this in Tibetan? Okay. Geron Dagam Kenam Ki Sekje Dawe Session Do. This is Tibetan. In English, I translated this in English. The bhikshus and the wise people, just as the goldsmith tests the purity of the gold by cutting, rubbing, and burning the gold, you should also examine my words and put them into practice, not simply because you respect me. Then he remained silent for a few seconds. And he said, oh, the Buddha must have been a great physicist. Okay, so here, the point is that we are not to take these things blindly. So where the Buddha taught that everything is like a dream, you have to ask, how? How do you know that everything is like a dream? So you have to give reasons. You have to give reasons. For example, the physics is saying that the world started from the singularity 15 billion years ago. How do you know that? You can ask the question to physicists. So the physicists, they will explain about the Doppler's effect. How we see that according to Doppler's effect, we see that the universe is expanding exponentially, accelerating in its expansion, act of expansioning. So expansion means that today, if this is a size, then they say 1 billion years ago is like this, smaller. 10 billion years ago, still smaller. Because expansion means in time, it is going bigger. So going back in time, it should be smaller. Smaller, and then at one point they will meet. One time it meets 15 billion years ago. Two reasons they established that. Not that they've seen it. They did not see the Big Bang. They did it based on their, say, the derivation, mathematical derivation, and from what the observation of the Doppler's effect, observation, and then mathematical calculation, they deduce that this universe is 15 billion years old. So likewise, the reason is given. So the Buddha, if you have to ask the Buddha, why? How do we know that everything is subjective? Everything is empty of objective reality. How do we know that? So then Buddha gives reason. So we have the 4 components. Now, what's the first component? Subject or topic. Let's say that the flower or the water bottle, or your mobile, or your pen, or the book, whatever you're holding, you see as object real. We see that this is not object real, it is empty of object reality. How? First, let's say, okay, let's focus on one thing, let's say flower. Flower as the subject or the topic, flower, it is not object, it is subjective, which means it is not objective. It is empty of objective reality. That's a predicate. That is what we want to prove upon the flower. We see the flower as objective reality. Now we are learning it is not objective reality real. It is empty of objective reality. Why? Because, okay, the first as the topic, the flower as the topic, and you want to prove that this flower is empty of objective reality as a predicate. Empty of objective reality is the predicate. How do you know that? You have to give a reason. The reason given is because it is dependently originated. Number 3, reason. What example do you have? Like a dream. Number 4. So this is the reason that you give. Now, the reason, the sign, or the reason that you give, because it is dependently originated. So this dependently originated, if I say, okay, what will you tell me? If I say that, okay, the person A is so good because he engages in indulgence. Is it a good reason or bad reason? Bad reason. Why bad reason? Somebody who is engaged in indulgence is not good. You are given a reason. Somebody is indulgent, you say it's good. It's the opposite. So it says, number 10, this way of dependent origination, those who perceive that as contradictory. You getting it? I say that this person is very good because he's in indulgence. No, this is contradictory. Being indulgent cannot be good. Contradictory. So say that the Buddha taught that the flower, or I, or you, or the mom, your dad, husband, wife, children, as the topic, they seem so objectively real, then objectively nice, attachment arises. Objectively not nice, aversion arises. You getting it? So you see things as objectively real, then the attachment, aversion, all these poisons arise. And these poisons disturb your mind, disturb your mind. You agree? Resents. So if you want to remove these poison, attachment, aversion, you should stop seeing the other person or things as objectively really good, objectively really bad. And how do you know that? Wake up. If you wake up, you see that the good and bad, they're all subjective. They're not objective. Then the attachment, aversion will stop. Okay, so for this, you have to give reason. How to wake up? First, we have to give the reasons. And then you meditate on this, then you wake up fully. So the flower as the topic, it is empty of objective reality because it is dependently originated. For example, like a dream. Okay, so with this, the reason given is that, this is empty of objective reality because this is dependent originated. Some say that these two are contradictory. What is dependent originated must be objectively real. Some say, not empty. It should be objectively real. So empty objective reality and dependent origination, these two are contradictory. Some say like this, contradictory. Now, number 2 is, some say that is unestablished. For example, let's say, what's the problem? If I say that this flower is very nice. Okay, I'm giving the example and you tell me whether it's a good example, good reason or bad reason. This flower is very nice because it is some chocolate. Bad reason. Why?
There's no chocolate anywhere.
Because this is not a chocolate. The chocolate is in the chocolate shop. You said there's no flower, there's no chocolate anywhere. So what you say is the flower is not chocolate. What you said is that this flower is beautiful because it is chocolate. Flower is not a chocolate. You're getting it? Flower is not a chocolate. So that flower being chocolate is not established. You're going to, so it says as contradictory or as unestablished. Meaning that some people say that the flower is not dependent originated. Flower is independently real. So these people, for them, if you say the flower is empty object reality because it is dependent originated, they will say that no, I don't accept that it's dependent originated. It is independently real, not dependently real. It's independent. So your reason, dependently originated, is unestablished. So these are the people who don't understand the concept well. So he who sees contradictory, which contradictory? Emptiness, okay. Contradictory between what? Emptiness of object reality and dependent origination. Are these two same or not same? Hey, emptiness and dependent origination. These were synonymous or not? These were synonymous or not synonymous? When did we learn this? Last year? Or yesterday? Okay, good. We learned it yesterday. So dependent origination and emptiness, these two are synonymous. They are not contradictory. So some say, who do not understand this, they said these two are contradictory. Some say that the flower, you, me, your, husband, wife, children, parents, they are dependent originated. They said that's not true. They are independently real. Being dependent originated is unestablished. So these are the people who don't understand your philosophy well. You getting it? Okay. So the way, number 10, this way of dependent origination, those who perceive it as contradictory with emptiness, those who see as dependent origination unestablished, meaning instead of dependent origination, things should be independently originated, independently real. How can these people comprehend your system of emptiness? Those who see the two things as contradictory and unestablished, these are the people who cannot comprehend your the wisdom. Number 11, for you when one sees emptiness, in terms of the meaning of dependent origination. Okay, now emptiness equals what? Wow, Mumbai is very different. And you have all the answers on the fingertips. Okay. So for you, when one sees emptiness in terms of the meaning of dependent origination, emptiness means dependent origination. If you know that, in terms, then being devoid of intrinsic existence and possessing valid functions, okay, in present dependent origination, something is there. How did it come? I don't know. Oh, okay, Mrindanji. And the Ilingo, how did it come in present? No, we should ask the younger generation. Prarag and Sanjuda, why this came in between? Okay, it's a printing. Actually it is the person who worked on this. What happened? He completed the work. Okay, I'll tell you. I don't know who worked on this, but I can see the problem. The problem is that that person worked on this book completely, and later he saw some mistake or a change in mind came. I have to add something. Then he added something, one line added, instantly the computer pushes down the remaining text. So what otherwise this everywhere you find this should be at the header. It should be at the header. So it's pushed from there, and if the work was not done properly, was not done professionally, it was done everything done manually. It's not done professionally. Professionally, if you push, the header will not push down. It will remain as it is. When it is done manual, which I used to do, is my problem. I don't know how to do it professionally. So I do it all manually. You push one thing, everything will push down. So this is a problem. Okay. 11. For you, when one sees emptiness in terms of the meaning of dependent origination, then being devoid of intrinsic existence, meaning devoid of intrinsic, objective, they all mean the same. Devoid of intrinsic existence, devoid of objective existence, devoid of independent existence, they all mean the same. Devoid of intrinsic existence and possessing valid function do not contradict. So emptiness of intrinsic existence and dependent origination. Based on dependent origination, you explain the functionality of the world. Whole world functions by dependent origination. You're getting it? For example, Nepal crisis, but depends on the, say, the corruptions happening. But depends on that, the children, the students, the youth not being happy is originated. Again, that unhappiness as the factors that give rise to the protests as a result. With the protest as a cause, then the resignation of the former prime minister happened. With the resignation of the former prime minister happened, then the new prime minister coming into the being elected becomes the origination. So look, things are all dependent origin, cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. So cause and effect means dependent origin. Dependent origin means empty of objective reality. So these two not contradict, they complement each other. Okay, so it says, for you meaning to the Buddha, or those who understand emptiness, when one sees emptiness in terms of the meaning of dependent origination, then being devoid of, for you, these two are not contradictory. Being devoid, being empty of intrinsic existence, and on the other hand, possessing valid functions, cause and effect function, do not contradict. 12. Whereas when one sees the opposite, if you see that emptiness and dependent origination is contradictory, opposite, if you see that, whereas people who don't understand emptiness completely, whereas one sees the opposite, since there can be no function in emptiness. So for those people cannot explain functions when you talk about emptiness. When you say functionality, you cannot explain emptiness. When you explain emptiness, you cannot explain functionality. So you are lost in the tension between these two concepts rather than two seen as complementary. No emptiness in that has function, in what is function, one falls into the dreadful abyss of the extremes. Either you say things exist intrinsically, or when you see functionality, you say things exist intrinsically. Or when you say nothing exists objectively, you have to say nothing exists at all, nihilism. So you'll fall into one of the two, the dreadful abyss of the extreme to maintain. 13. Therefore, in your teaching, seeing dependent origination is here. So if you, the Buddha emphasizes so much on the teaching of dependent origination so that person can understand emptiness well. So therefore, in your teaching, seeing dependent origination is hailed. The two not as an utter non-existence. Dependent origination means, hey, emptiness equals dependent origination, and dependent origination equals the middle way. How middle way? Because dependent origination removes the two extremes. Remove the two extremes is following the middle way. So number 13 says, therefore, in your teaching, seeing dependent origination is hailed, praised. For what reason? There are two not as an utter non-existent. It is not non-existent. It is not nihilism. No as an intrinsic existence. Intrinsic existence what? Absolutism. No absolutism, no nihilism. It's the middle way. Number 14. Now, if you believe that things are intrinsically real, what's the problem? If things are intrinsically real, things should be objectively real. If things are objectively real, things should be independently real, not dependent on anything else. Then the sky flower should exist. Huh? Is there sky flower? Flower hanging in the air? Huh? Because the flower means it should be supported by some system to be in the air, supported. Sky flower means not being supported. It should be independent. Such independent flower does not exist. So if you believe in independent reality, empty, opposite of the emptiness, independent reality, then you have to accept sky flower as independent real. Number 14, non-contingent. Non-contingent meaning non-dependent. Contingency means dependency. Non-dependent is like a sky flower. Hence, there's nothing that is not dependent. Everything is dependent. If things exist through their essence, meaning through objective essence, their dependence on causal conditions for their existence is a contradiction. If something has intrinsic reality, independent reality, then it should not be depending on anything else. It should not depend on causal conditions. It should be independent real. Then without effort, whatever you want should happen. Number 15. Therefore, since no phenomena exists other than origination through dependence, no phenomena exists other than being devoid of intrinsic existence, meaning empty of intrinsic existence, which means emptiness and dependent origination used to mean the same. You getting it? Okay. You taught 16. Because the intrinsic nature cannot be negated. If phenomena possess some intrinsic nature, if things exist intrinsically, you cannot negate it. If you cannot negate it, then what happens? Then, for example, say, if things are independent, then you cannot negate the independence. Things should be independent. So, for example, okay, how many these say once in a while? Okay, let's say that how many of you shed tears in your life? Raise hands. How many have shed tears in your life? Okay, all of us. We all shed tears in life. Okay. And you want to shed tears, you don't want to shed tears. You want to have the tears or you don't want to have the painful tears? We don't want. Online also. We don't want the painful tears. We don't want. You want to stop it. If the painful tears exist independently, it should not be depending on any other factors. If it doesn't depend on any other factors, you cannot do anything. It will forever remain. The pain will forever remain. And liberation is impossible. Nirvana is impossible. Nirvana meaning you by your pain, you are liberated. Nirvana is liberation. Liberation meaning liberation from the pain of the tears, painful tears. So if the painful tears exist intrinsically or independently, then you cannot do anything. Usually what we do, for example, say, what we do, for example, say somebody's crying, a child is crying, you go there, hug the child, get some chocolates. What are you trying to do? You try to stop the tears. How to stop the tears? Because the tears, this pain is dependent on the child feeling sad. Why feeling sad? Because the child doesn't feel love and affection from somebody. Because the child sees the other children having chocolates and he does not have chocolate. Others have somebody to love. I don't have anybody to love to give me chocolate. And then you go there, because that is the factor which makes the child be sad. The factor of not having chocolate. So you remove this factor of not having chocolate by giving chocolate. You change the factor so that the result, the pain stops. The child will stop crying. You're getting it? So this is dependent origination. Whereas the child feeling sad is independent and real. You cannot do anything to change the factors. If you cannot change the factors, then the pain will continue to remain. So each one of us, we shed tears, we shed painful tears. So these painful tears are because of some reasons. Whereas if the painful tears is independent and real, you cannot change it. We have to continue to suffer. Then you have to accept it. You have to continue to suffer. But the Buddha said, we can change it. We can stop it altogether. This pain, the painful tears can be stopped altogether. How? Because even the painful tears also dependent originated, dependent on some other factors. Remove these factors, the painful tears will stop. If there is the fire, say in the night, say how many of you cannot sleep with light? Makes sense? And even if you sleep, but the sleep is very light, you don't have to go into deep sleep. Makes sense? It happens to me also. So what do? You switch off the light. How do you switch off the light? You remove the bulb. What do? Just because that this light is dependent on the current flowing through that switch. So you switch off the light and the light here stops. Because you are not removing the bulb. You're getting it? You don't remove the bulb. So knowing that this coming from you know who's the mastermind? Okay. He's not mastermind, there's a mastermind behind him. Yes. Okay. It says 10 minutes to break. Okay. So so we have to, because that this light is on the ceiling. Sometimes ceiling is very high. You cannot go to remove the bulb. It's too high. But even though it's so high, you can remove the bulb, but this is dependent on the electricity coming from that switch, which is reachable. So you modify that, and the light is modified. Dependent origination. Because this light comes into origination by dependence on the light coming from the switch, or the electricity coming from the switch. When you modify that cause, then the effect is modified. Because of this, out of painful tears, they have the result. By dependence coming into existence, origination, by dependence on other forces, the factors. So when you change these factors, for example, the ignorance, not knowing how to manage the situation, then you become desperate, you cry. Whereas if you remove the ignorance by knowing the fact, how to remove this problem. But removing the ignorance, what happens is that your tears stop. You become very confident, your tears stop. So dependent origination. Whereas if things are not dependent origination, if it is independent, then nothing can change it. So if you cry, you have to keep crying. If you're sad, you have to continue to be sad. If you live in fear, you have to continue to live in fear. But the Buddha said this is not true. The reality is everything is dependent originated. There's nothing which is independent real. So this understanding can protect us from having to go through the painful tears. Okay, number 16. Okay. Because intrinsic nature cannot be negated, if phenomena possess some intrinsic nature, nirvana would become impossible. You getting it? Nirvana meaning freedom from the tears, painful tears, will become impossible. And elaborations could not be ceased to talk. So elaboration here is an elaboration of objective reality. Objective reality, if it exists intrinsically, everything should become intrinsically real. You cannot stop it. 17. Therefore, who could tell you, for example, let's say, how many of you have very scary dreams, particularly like ghosts chasing us? Yes, I had many of those dreams, ghosts chasing us. And this ghost chasing us, the fear is that this fear is because of the belief that the dream ghost is real. And this belief in the dream ghost is real is because of the dream. Dream is because of the sleep, right? So if you don't want this fear, what should you do? If you don't want this, if you don't want to have this fear of the dream ghost chasing you, what should you do? Well, this is a Mumbai shortcut. Wake up, right? So if you don't want to do that, don't believe in the dream ghost as real. How not to have the dream ghost as not real? How to know that? Is by making sure that that you don't dream. How not to dream? Don't sleep. How not to sleep? Wake up. You're getting it? It's a process. So Mumbai is direct. Gate Bodhi Soha. It's not right. Gate para Sagam. Mumbai is cosmopolitan, so there is direct.
Mumbai is also known as the city that never sleeps.
Okay, it doesn't sleep at all. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Flyover, yes. Flyover. Gate Bodhi Soha. Okay. With the mantra for the Mumbai people, this mantra is, it's very easy to remember. Gate Bodhi Soha. Other people will show it on the screen. It doesn't show on the screen because it's very easy. Gate Bodhi Soha. For others, it's Gate para Samgate Bodhi Soha. Okay. Okay, good. Number 17. Therefore, who could challenge you? You who proclaim with lion's roar. Lion's roar meaning the fearless. Because this teaching is so efficacious, so true, so real, that nobody can challenge it. For example, when the lion comes, the lion roars. All the other animals, they started to shiver. So, with lion's roar, who can challenge this teaching, which is so efficacious, so real, so true? You who proclaim with lion's roar in the assembly of the learned ones meaning who are wise. So in the eyes, the assembly of unwise people, somebody can speak, But if you can speak in front of the learned one, then that requires tremendous confidence. Do you agree? For example, if you are the average physics professor, average, not the top ranking, just average physics professor, and your vice chancellor says that, hey, you have to give a lecture on behalf of our university, and we are going to have 1,000 PhD students from all over the world, PhD students in physics from all over the world coming to our university. So you have to give a lecture. Would you be happy, not happy? Mrinaliji, happy, not happy? Not happy, not happy. Okay. Audreyji, happy, not happy? Not happy. Okay. Aditya, happy, not happy? No, what I'm saying is that imagine that you are an average physics professor. You're happy, not happy to give a lecture to 1,000 students from all over the world? Not happy, why not? Okay, but then vice chancellor says you have to give the lecture. But you'll give. Okay. Basics. Okay, so why you're not happy is because that they are the future Nobel laureates of physics here in this group. You're getting it? Future Nobel laureates, very bright ones. They can ask any question and you can get stuck. It's very scary moment. Okay, so it's very scary. Whereas to give a lecture to the small children, Aditi will easily give these things, right? Aditya, yes. So, but for learned people, it's very scary. So, if you give a lecture, you should be extremely confident. So, this is what the Buddha is doing. Buddha is giving this teaching to such a learned people, extremely wise people. So, there the fearlessness, confidence is unaccepted. 17. Therefore, who could challenge you, who you proclaimed with lion's roar in the assembly of the learned ones repeatedly, that everything is utterly free of intrinsic nature. There's nothing independent and real. 18. That there's no intrinsic existence at all. Okay, now, so we talked about emptiness equals dependent origination. Dependent origination is from the side of the functionality of the world. Functionality, cause and effect. If there is no, that there is 18, that there's no intrinsic existence at all, on the one hand, emptiness on the one hand, and all functions as this arising in dependence on that, dependent origins on the other. These two are synonymous or these are contradictory? These two are synonymous. What need is there to say that these two converge without conflict? These two are synonymous. These two have the same meaning. Number 19, it is true the reason of dependent origination that one does not lean towards the extreme. When you understand dependent origination, emptiness equals dependent origination equals a middle way. Middle way means free of the two extremes. 19, it is through the reason of dependent origination that one does not lean towards the extremes. You're freed from the extremes. That you, the Savior, the Buddha, have declared this excellently is a source of your unexcelled speech. 20. All of this is devoid of essence. Devoid of essence meaning devoid of objective essence. And from this is the emptiness side. And on the other side is the dependent origination. From this arises the effect, dependent origination. These two certainties complement each other with no contradiction at all. 21. What is more amazing than this? What is more marvelous than this? If one praises you in this manner, this is real praise, otherwise not. Being enslaved by the ignorance, those who fiercely oppose you, those who do not understand as well, they try to oppose you. They try to oppose you, the Buddha. What is so astonishing about they being unable to bear the sound of intrinsic existence? When the Buddha taught that there's nothing intrinsic real, some people, they cannot accept it. 23. But having accepted, so this is with those people at the time of the Buddha whose philosophy is totally contradictory with the Buddha's teachings. Now, within the Buddha's teachings, within the Buddha's students, there are some who accept dependent origination, but they don't accept emptiness. Like within the Buddha's students, or Buddha's disciples, or Buddha's the system, there are some who accept dependent origination, but do not accept emptiness. Like Sautrantika, like Vaibhashika, like Chittamatra, yes. Okay. Audrey-la and the Pune group, they are observing the Mumbai group. You know, how is they understanding? Right? Okay, Mumbai people, what happened? Okay, is the Pune people, they're observing you. Imrananji. Okay, let's see. 20 is done. 21. What is more amazing than this? What is more marvelous than this? If one praises you in this manner, this is real praise, otherwise not. Being enslaved by ignorance, those who fiercely oppose you. What is so astonishing about them being unable to bear the sound of intrinsic existence? So those who are opponents of the Buddha's teachings, for them, they don't accept emptiness concept, is fine. But Buddha's own disciples who accept dependent origination and not accepting emptiness, this is surprising. 23. But having accepted dependent origination, the precious treasure of your speech, and that not tolerating the roar of emptiness, not accepting emptiness, this I find amazing indeed. Okay, we stop here. Short break, half an hour. Okay, online participants, half an hour gap, and we'll come back.